Hi, welcome to next normal. So today, as you can see, I'm not in the studio, so it looks a little bit less professional. It's out of a hotel room, but so me being less professional, but my special guest today will give all the credibility and all the professionalism that I'm lacking today. So I'm more than happy to welcome Kundan to the show, and we'll talk about apps. We'll talk about mobile apps, multi-app approach, and so I'm very happy. I think there's nobody better to host it. We talked about accolades, and I think 2018, 2017, Kundan got all the accolades you can wish for now as an entrepreneur on a personal level, and now they're also putting that in place on the company side. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much. Really excited to be on your wonderful show. I've been a follower of your show. Such great content that you are able to present the audience, especially in retail and digital transformation and so on. And yeah, really glad we got a chance to meet through IPO, and really looking forward to having this conversation.
Yeah, and if we when we start, so when we prepared a little bit, and that's the difficult thing. Let's talk about app. Everybody's thinking on the app of the phone, so the smartphone app case, but in the apps are broader. And my example in the past was when Pyramid in 2011, 2010 did their first kiosks with Marks and Spencers in England. There were no apps, so there was no app. It was a browser in a sense, and it looked shitty, and it was not that convenient. It was there, but it was not that user friendly in a sense. That the hardware was there, but there was no specific industry for that, and it took much longer to get that going and really develop. Like Apple, if you take the Apple part, when did the App Store really grow? When were the apps available? And that's what we see very much in the kiosk side, in the self checkout side, and all this. And it took a few years, yeah, in that sense, like it always does. But if we look at the present, and maybe you can give a shift uh, on your view from going from the past into the present stage, because we already have a lot.
Yeah, even when we named our company AppLab, right? This was like 14 years ago before the iPhone was born. I had a perspective that I had a belief, I would say, that smartphones would take over the software world and create a great experience. But the reason we called ourselves the App Lab and not, I don't know, a mobile lab or mobile studio, I know those are some of the name options, is because apps, in essence, are software applications, right? And ability to experience those apps in on a device or in a format that's most suitable to us. Used to be computers, now it's your smartphone, it could be your glasses, it could be your directly into through nanobots into or through your retina with a lens, whatever that might be. The apps will always be there. The way, how do you experience them? How do you interact with them? At the end of the day, they're here to solve a problem for you. And whether 14 years ago it took us a couple of hours to explain what an app was, luckily we don't have to spend that time. An app is a synonymous word in the world. But they have, again, they have delivered on exactly that, on creating a better experience, trying to solve one problem after the other across various sectors, and specifically in retail and hospitality. Uh, I mean, we don't have to look for too further back than just the last couple of years. During pandemic,
Yeah.
mobile shopping has accelerated. The behaviors have accelerated by 5 years, right? So that curve of using apps for shopping, for product experience, for ordering, whatever that might be. Uh, we are what we would have said present a couple of years ago is. What would have said future a couple of years ago is pretty much the present now, and it's more about really looking at some of the key challenges in the sector to really create that next normal of when it comes to apps.
And from looking again a little bit in the past side, and I like that when you say you created AppLab before the iPhone, which is pretty visionary. But then in the beginning, the apps were like, I mean, we didn't have a thinking. We thought we had programs on the computer, and you had programs on your Mac, and and then when the iPhone came, there was beginning not, but then there was the App Store, and then it started with the apps. But again, it was like focused on a device, and then it started to say, oh, okay, there's an iPad. I mean, even Steve Jobs didn't believe too much in it. There was the iPad, and and then you have all this app thinking and marketplace side for various devices. So it's actually before it was app to one device, and now it's no matter the device, but you have the app in that sense. And I mean, who would have believed that you can buy a car or a real estate nowadays with your app on your phone, with the same app on your iPad, or you could have a kiosk by Pyramid, which is at the site, and you can do it at the car reseller directly, and already authenticate yourself with your ID, with all your necessary peripherals. That's pretty strong in the present.
Indeed, indeed. And I mean, and that's exactly where it has come to, right? I mean, from having that singular app which was slapped on because maybe our competitors have an app, or or we need to do something to innovate and utilize this new piece of hardware or new channel that we have in order to access new customers, to really creating a strong strategy across a unified strategy across the board, and especially in retail, that has become extremely important. Where, hey, I mean, like majority of your customers are now accessing your brand, accessing your products through their smartphones. So how do you bring that in? How do you bring the app strategy as a part of your entire digital strategy, as a part of your business strategy, and from having a single channel, single purpose solution to an omni-channel, to a multi-channel solution, to an omni-channel solution, to now a unified solution, unified commerce solution, or unified channel solution, where you are able, like all the channels are working with each other. They are providing in like real-time data flow across various channels, and
Yeah.
that's where it's going, to be very honest.
Yeah, I mean, we'll cover the future in a second. So I think we have two comments. So one comes very nice, looking good, guys. We're trying our best. Yeah, thanks so much. And the second one is actually a question. What do you think about app clips and also adaptive apps that can be iterated faster than App Store apps? Yeah, that's a very current question. Or I mean, with what is going on the App Store side. So um,
Yeah.
you probably can answer that.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. I mean, app clips is definitely, I mean, a great concept. It's we've already tried it for multiple of our customers. Just gives you a sense to, I mean, use before you download or use before you try kind of a thing, right? And in some cases, even including certain functionalities where you may not even need to download the app, because whatever information you sort of get it through that just allows you to build a much stronger loyal customer base who has already tried it out, gets the understanding or gets the value proposition upfront before they use your app. I mean, the percentage of users who download the app because whatever impulse download, for they saw the ad somewhere or they saw a list somewhere and they downloaded, but they never really signed up, never really logged in. That percentage is way too high, and that those users don't do anything of value for your brand. In fact, they provide a lot of false positives. So app clips have turned out to be really good. When it comes to adaptive apps or say PWAs or any other sort of web apps, where you don't need to download the app and you get that within the web and browser, the more functionality and the more powerful they get, it's definitely going to be advantageous for various different use cases. I mean, web AR is a great example, right? Where I mean, for certain very simple use cases in the past, where you needed to have a downloadable app to experience augmented reality, it didn't make sense because it was meant to be a one-time experience. Go in the store, get an augmented reality experience, and you're done with it. And you didn't need to download an app which was always going to stay on your device. Now, with Web AR, for example, it just makes it a lot easier to experience that. Same thing with a lot of retail experiences, especially which are very well integrated through other channels. PWAs make a lot of sense. Where downloadable, sorry, go ahead.
And is that something because being in China, because I think that's what WeChat is also doing a lot. So do you also see and I mean in Europe you don't find it that much. Is it also something which is more on a, let's say, country specific part, or can you see a general trend to, because that would be interesting for me. Is that a general trend where we can see it's coming more and more, or is it really regional?
Yeah, it is a general trend, I would say. It's not, I wouldn't say necessarily it's going to replace the downloadable apps, right? I mean, there's a very strong use case for downloadable apps where you need ease of access, persistent login, getting push notifications, ability to just have the ease of launch it quickly, experience it, have a great experience in a sense, right? However, there are a lot of use cases where you still need to access the functionality from your smartphone, but the user journey is very limited. It's short. The frequency is not that high. You don't necessarily need to access any of the hardware functionalities as a result of that. But that's the great thing, even with PWA, is as they keep getting stronger and the functionality keeps getting stronger, some of those, I mean, the performance issues related to launching a camera or using some of the hardware specifications like accelerometer and whatnot, they're reducing as well. So for certain use cases, PWAs and adaptive apps are definitely here to stay, and they're going to improve that mobile experience. Not necessarily replace apps, native apps, they have a place, but definitely there are a lot of use cases which will be done a lot better through those.
I always had an issue. Very simple example. I mean, traveling, when you travel within Europe, even in the country, each city has a different app for their subway system or their thing, and then you come and Milan was for me always horror when I go to a show at, for example, Salon di Mobile, and it's full with people. So you arrive at the train station, it's full with people, and you have to download the app just for this day to buy your ticket, because you don't want to queue at the at the train station to buy your tickets, and you don't even put any data in because you pay with PayPal. So it's a perfect thing where you could just use it adaptively.
Yeah, and travel is a great example where, I mean, you used to have downloadable apps in travel mainly because you probably need offline content. You don't want to use your data in a different country and so on and so forth, but you're not necessarily using it after that particular time, right? So now you have an adaptive app, which also allows you offline functionality that's going to be a much more convenient user experience than having the need to download an app.
Yeah. So we have another question from Pranav. Hi, Paul. Great question. Adaptive apps are great too, and they definitely will allow to get into the market quickly and save some cost. I feel the decision to go PWA or native apps completely depends on your audience, functionality, and experience. I think we mostly covered that. I think so.
Yeah,
Anything
is
to
ahead
add
of us.
for Pranav? So Pranav already, even we wouldn't
He gets
even
it.
have needed to discuss. We just could have put his answer in.
We just invited him in.
Yeah. No, great. So let's take it from there and have the look into the future, because we're actually already 15 minutes in, and we don't want to overspend the time there, and also have to get going. we had two main points that we found out to say for the future. The one was this really digital experience, really broad digital experience, and I think you covered already some parts, which are the AR part and VR part. And the other one, and I really like that in the discussion that we had just now, when you said you don't want to have your data in a certain country or do this, is the thing with unified data. And maybe let's start with the digital experience and then going to the unified parts, also remembering adaptive apps and going in. But on the experience side, you already, when we talked first, you told me, hey Joseph, AR apps in that they're already in rollout. That's already present. But you said a lot about adding value. So I would like to come to the point to explain a little bit. Is it the IKEA app where you can post your chair into your room? Is that added value, or what else could be higher added value? Are there a lot of use cases which are basically senseless?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to augmented reality, I mean, in the present, any of the try before you buy, virtually try before you buy, or I mean, the virtual try-on experiences in essence, right? I mean, IKEA is a great example for that. I mean, a lot of cosmetic companies, I mean, Sephora and Ulta, they have sort of that virtual try-on beauty tool. Like, I mean, I know Ulta has a tool called Glam Lab. I mean, especially during pandemic, it became a challenge that they didn't want people to come to the store and try on the makeup. So an augmented reality experience, which whether you do it at home or even at the store through an iPad or whatnot, experience that before you actually buy it, as opposed to actually trying it on, just became a great use case. One which was forced, and secondly also which made the experience a lot better in essence, right? So same with furniture. I mean, furniture is a great use case because when you go to the store, you don't take your home with you or your home layout with you. When you're at home, you don't see the furniture, right? So augmented reality, it's actually a great augmented reality experience is better than an in-store experience when it comes to furniture buying, right? Same with anything, same with home decor as well. I mean, it just merges both those worlds together really well in essence. I mean, even in the B2B space, we've had examples where you go, I mean, you need equipment in your restaurant or in your manufacturing facility, and ability to place a virtual version of that particular equipment in your store and see, hey, is there enough space? All of that's been a very great use case as well, right? And it's not just in terms of an improved experience, which is obviously a huge thing. Like, I mean, one stat I saw, Adidas and Macy, they have a great augmented reality experience for just making sure that you're purchasing the right size in essence. And their returns went down by about 40%, just because now you're not just guessing your size and buying it and then realize, oh shoot, wrong size, let's return the shoe or return the shirt. An AR experience can make it a lot easier, right? I mean, I would say we're still scratching the surface there. So it's sort of right now, but there's still a lot more advancements required. I mean, for web AR, for example, so non-downloadable augmented reality experience, there's still ways to go for our browsers, for the technology, web AR technology itself, to be a lot more intuitive, a lot more interactive, have a lot more data points and layers as a part of the augmented reality experience, and just overall ability to, I mean, the ease of creating AR models, for example, right? It has been getting easier and easier. Like, I'm selling this mouse and I
Yeah.
want to create an AR or 3D version of this. It's a lot easier now than it was before.
and
It's
and
still not
less
scalable
and
enough
less and less costly. So I think
and less costly.
that's one of the parts, because many, especially with where AR, having worked, for example, in the furniture industry, many of the products, they don't have like CAD 3D drawing. So yes,
Exactly.
it's easy if you have a 3D model to do the rendering and use it. But if you don't have that, if stuff is really like still drawn in 2D files, yeah, and that was very expensive in the past to create the content. And that's probably one of the points to say, if the content creation is cheaper than the use case, and if it looks good. So if it's cheaper and it looks good, then the value is of course there.
Totally, totally. I mean, another example is there's a store called Kendra Scott that had to shut down during pandemic, and because of the AR functionality they had, you could try on the jewelry before buying it, right? Just made it so much easier. But again, I mean, the experiences are okay right now for most cases, right? IKEA experience was pretty good, but they've been working on it for a long time now, right? And the
Yeah.
way supply chain, their production works seamlessly, they're able to have 3D models and AR experiences for each of their SKUs, which is very difficult for some of the other retailers, right? So obviously, from the manufacturing supply chain point of view, it's a different challenge. But even from the experience standpoint, does the shirt that I try on using augmented reality really look good, just like it would look in person? Does the jewelry really look as if I'm wearing it? Does the makeup exact? So there's still advances that are happening so as we speak, and it's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, and that's a good. So there's a question from Bikram, which I'll put in a second. But jumping over, and you mentioned Adidas, for example, in the past as having good data points, and especially mentioning like shirt, like clothes, but all kinds of stuff. If you're a multi-brand retailer and you don't have access or you cannot push the brands to give you all this data, you're basically screwed. I mean, either you're Walmart and you can really put your thumb down and pressure them to deliver all this data. Otherwise, you have the brands like an Adidas who really owns the supply chain, while they do all nice RFID stuff and everything, but they have the complete data of the model and therefore can deliver this digital experience. I think that's a very interesting thing to look at brands and even small businesses and multi-brand businesses or multi-brand resellers, and that sounds pretty difficult to match. Maybe quickly, and this comes a little bit. Bikram has a nice question. He's a believer in mobile apps. Yes, we too, and that's a small business in hospitality that would like to that, but to have two hindrance: how to get traction on the app. I think that's a very valid point. And the second one, which we also just covered, is the costs involved in app development. And I personally think it's not only the app development, it's the content creation. I mean, having a nice menu to select in hospitality setting is not only the software, but having like really good photos, having a nice setup, having it look perfect. That's also necessary. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah, no,
let's jump to the first one.
yeah, the first one in terms of how do they get traction, a very valid point, right? I would say having mobile as a key strategy or a key channel through all your marketing activities and campaigns is extremely essential, right? As you know, more than 50% of your customers, whether you're a small business or a large business, are accessing your brand through their smartphones. So having mobile first strategy is important, and hence any marketing campaigns you're doing, whether it's downloading a mobile app or a mobile friendly link, whatever that might be, being at the center of that is important. And then, in essence, like the traction that you get through the app is, in essence, the traction that you get to your brand. The reason the app is a good first point of contact, especially if you're a business where retention of customers is extremely important, loyalty is extremely important, the app allows you for higher conversion, higher basket size, higher lifetime value of your customer, right? So having that center is important. The second one, in terms of cost, if you are a small business, in essence, there are two options, I would say. One is go with a low code app builder type of an approach, in essence, if an app is a critical part to your business, in essence. And again, those kind of app builders are again coming up a lot more. They may not help you build every type of an app, but a particular app builder might be good at a certain type of an app or a certain type of a use case. The other one is all about the ROI, right? Even when we are building an app for a larger enterprise, are we, whatever their investment into the app, how are we really able to get them additional customers, increase the lifetime value, increase the retention, increase conversion, all of that aspect? How are we increasing the basket size? So now overall, because of that app, you've made an extra $1 million or extra $10 million. And now hence, what is it worth to invest in the app upfront and maintain it and so on, right? So that's the answer to the second question.
Yeah, but also I think that's a good point with what we covered with PVAs or with
Yes,
the adaptive ones, because
you're
in
right.
the end I see it with my daughters. They're, I mean, they're 9 and 6 and they use iPhones, and they did actually delete apps. They're like, hey, I'm too old now for this game. Yeah, that's for babies. Who took delete. So they're much more thorough than me, because I carry on now that I have 4 screens with all kinds of folders of apps, and I'm very happy that Apple now has this automatic thing to put on. But yeah, it's
Certainly.
probably a very valid questions, and thinking a little bit further, giving not only the app perspective, but in the end, I think, B&B background, saying the app has to run on something if it's not a phone, if it has to run on a device, and that's a very, for us as a company, and also for me personally, we have a lot of small businesses with great ideas who come to us and say, hey, we have this idea, this is our customer journey, can you build us this deep customized product, and we want to do it with this software company, and let's do something fantastic together. In the end, they will never be able to finance it. It doesn't make sense economically on that side. And what we found, that either you go to the very big ones, the hyperscalers, and actually the hyperscalers, they have already the mindset on a software, on an IT strategy. So they know pretty well what they need on the hardware side. They also, and I know that you work also with some of those, they also know what they would like to have as features on the app side, but they really hyperscale the process in-house. And probably for a smaller company is to say, where can I get good providers who can give me a bundle, and I buy a bundle or I lease a bundle, and therefore various industries, there are those providers in there. And I personally believe that there will be much more coming up, because the market in this level will grow, and it doesn't make sense to make customized solution, but you want to have a solution. And that's when I say not customized, it not necessarily means the cheapest shit you can get, because you still, I mean, and cheap shit, not to understand it, it doesn't probably make sense if you have one location. Just take your iPad, plug it in, and put it in front there and use any kind of app on it. But if you have 5 locations or 7 locations and you want to use different peripherals, don't use the iPad. Maybe look at a B2B version, because the iPad is not available in 2 years anymore, and the battery is not made to run like that. And yeah, so
And
that's,
that's where, I mean, being customer centric is so important, right?
yeah.
Really understanding who your, and Pranav made a point on that earlier as well, really understanding who your customers are, what's the right customer journey, from just like the right customer journey when they step into your store, similarly, what's the right customer journey virtually, in essence, right? And that only happens when you understand your customers, you talk to them, understand their pain points, their challenges, and now how do you create a great digital experience around it?
Yeah, and that's. I mean, we're already at 29 minutes. So covering after the digital experience, we had this unified data, and I really like the point that you made when we talked on that. You immediately went to loyalty, and you already said churn rate in a card, and I think that's the understanding. It's, yes, I can sell. I mean, I can sell using 3 legacy systems and having various apps. Yes, I will sell because I have great products, but will I really be able to retain my customer? Will I be able to use loyalty? So I think that's a very, very great point, which you can jump in on that.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, the omni-channel experience allowed us to like have various different channels, whether it's an app or web or e-commerce and so on. But really, the unified commerce strategy is being implemented right now, but it's still extremely challenging, especially for larger companies to do, because they might be using a POS system that is not virtual in their stores, and they're using, I don't know, maybe a Stripe or a PayPal on their e-commerce storefront, or Shopify Pay. and now they are not talking to each other. You don't really have real-time data about your customers in order to create a great personalized experience for them, regardless of what channel they are in, whichever digital channel or in person. How do you create that, you like a single experience where I went to the store, I couldn't find the item, it was out of stock. Okay, fine, no worries. Right now, I'm getting it delivered to your home, right? That experience doesn't exist right now because these systems don't talk to each other, right? You went to the
Yep.
store, fine, you got loyalty points. Now the same loyalty points are added to your mobile app as well, right? I mean, and those experiences, creating those singular experiences, seamless experiences for the end user, are going to increase the loyalty, and in the end also give you the ability to create personalized experiences, individualized experiences for your users, and that's again going to create a better experience, give you a strong differentiator, and again improve the loyalty, improve the lifetime value of your customer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I personally, like with my very limited hardware view, I also think that this goes hand in hand, because we see the same revolution with IoT devices coming up nowadays. And you mentioned POS systems. Why does a POS system still needs to have a PC in there? It
Exactly.
doesn't. It doesn't make sense. The only
Makes no
thing in the
sense.
past, the only thing which they tell you is, oh, the peripherals have to be connected. And
Right.
I mean, the peripherals are IP based. If you have the right peripherals and if you have the right IT strategy, and then you can virtualize. And then once you virtualize, it's much easier to think about, what do I do, let's say on site, what do I do in the cloud, how do I want to have real-time decisions make, which systems do I connect, and then bring in all the sensors. And that will probably be a two-way game, because the hardware move together with the killing the legacy systems will shift. And we have another question. Would love okay, no, only Pranav only had some comments. So it's great, people connecting with each other, and we had pretty interactive discussion. And actually, we're already over the time. So we just finished the content that we thought we could do in that time, and therefore, I think we said everything there is. App is the future. Any closing words from your side?
Yeah, no, I mean, very excited to see the questions and see the interaction. I mean, definitely, I mean, I mean, I guess my offering to anyone in your network, Joseph, is happy to provide any guidance, provide any advice on or tips and experience share, like we say in YPO circles, about anything that they are experimenting with, that they're challenged with, that they have a pain point of. Happy to do experience share. I mean, again, that's how we learn. Important to obviously think about like your one source of truth when it comes to the data. Important to experiment, really understand your customer, really understand what is the
Yeah.
best. I mean, we always thought about, hey, let's make our store fancy and beautiful so that we create a great experience, but it's still not a unique experience. Every other store looks the same. However, when it comes to your digital store or digital channels, you have an opportunity to make to really create a differentiation like no other, because of the way you personalize the journey, or the way you walk your customers through the discovery process so they can find the right products, or be able to just like enjoy that experience, that makes it easier, cheaper, a lesser headache of an experience when it comes to digital commerce for you. So yeah, so that's I'll just leave it that short thought.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks a lot. So all the very best to US time zone, and hopefully see you soon in person next year. Okay. Oh, we have another one. Thanks for sharing. So only couldn't agree more on how apps are delivering customer. Yeah, great. So, oh, we have more. Today is very interactive. Nancy, also, thanks for watching. I think that's another part in this area with all the virtual shows. It's great to see that we can still reach people, and that it's providing value. All
Wonderful.
right. Thanks a lot. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Joseph. Take care. Bye bye.